Hello, and welcome to the third episode of the Running on Thin Air podcast, where we talk everything running, training, racing, and the endurance community. I'm your host, Brian Taylor, and today I'm really excited to welcome Leah McIntosh to the show. I know Leah just enough that I can confidently say she's not only an incredible athlete, but at multiple sports, but she's also a pretty incredible woman, and I can't wait to learn more about her through this conversation. Leah, welcome to the Running on Thin Air podcast.
Oh, thanks, Brian. Happy to be here.
I'm excited. I admittedly know you a little bit, but probably not as well as I would like to. So hopefully I'll get to know you a lot better on this conversation we have today, as well as others getting to know you too. So where I'd like to start is where I've been starting, and that is if you had a Wikipedia page, and maybe you do, I did not look, but if you did, what would that introduction look like?
I haven't officially checked, but I doubt there is one. I think you'd probably just say that I was born in Florida and went to high school and college in Connecticut, had a short stint in New York after college, realized quickly that I am more of an active person and probably should be in an active place. So I've been in Denver for 6 years. And yeah, I've been focusing on mostly triathlons and a little bit more into cycling these days, but that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. That's great. Well, we're going to be able to get into a lot of that. And you already answered one of my first questions, which is where you were from, and that's Florida.
Yep. Florida. So, don't hold it against me.
We won't hold it against you at all. What part of Florida did you grow up
in? Southern Florida. So West Palm Beach, if that means anything to you. Yeah, it's a very interesting place. It's great to visit. Families there, but I definitely belong somewhere like Colorado. So.
Okay. Yeah. So Did you spend all of your younger years there till you went to college?
So I actually went to boarding school in Connecticut. So I was there through 8th grade and then went away to school for high school and then stuck around Connecticut for college. Actually ran track in college and then did about 2 years in Manhattan and got out of there pretty quickly. And yeah.
So what was boarding school like? Was that... Did you participate in sports back then too? And it's kind of off topic, but like, what was it like to be away for long periods of time from the family?
Honestly, for me, it was absolutely perfect. I think it doesn't work for everyone, but for me, it was ideal. I always wanted to go to summer camp that lasted the longest. I loved kind of getting out and doing new things, and I loved going places that I didn't know anyone and forcing myself to meet people. And so boarding school was perfect for that. And I ran track all 4 years and kind of dabbled in cross country because I figured this will help my track season. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of focus on running from pretty early start. Even in middle school, I always just wanted to race people and run.
So you have a competitive side, I assume, then?
Very much so. I would say it's mostly with myself. I always tell myself, like, what can you do? Let's see what you can do. That's what I constantly is running through my head. What can you do? So okay.
Yeah. So I'm a little curious because you said you dabbled in cross country. I feel like if you're in cross, and I never did cross country, but I feel like if you're either kind of in it or you're not. So
I was like, this is not for me. I hurdled. My main event was hurdling. Okay. So very geared toward the sprinting focus. I loved the 100-meter hurdles. And so I just thought, makes sense that I should probably run cross country. Did not like it at all. And that was also the beginning of my shin splints, which I've been battling since 2009. So,
oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah, so I think that was the other reason I was like, I'm going to avoid cross country, but it's kind of coming around. So,
yeah, I'm sure there's advantages, but yeah, if it's causing some shin splint problems, and then also if you're just not into it because you're a sprinter, and I feel like not a lot of people that do 100-meter hurdles is their favorite sport will be in cross country because there's not quite as much of a
what am I doing here? Yeah. But I knew it was good for me, so I figured I should probably keep doing it.
Yeah. So this is a silly question. It's just coming from ignorance on my side. So from a boarding school perspective, did you compete against like traditional public high schools as well, or was it more towards private schools? How was the competition?
Yeah. It's, just other boarding schools. I think our group was called, you know what? I actually forget. I remember my college group was called the NESCAC. But yeah, same idea. Like you have a little pod. And so it was just other boarding schools. So we would travel not very far, but in and around Connecticut. And that was it. Yeah.
Wow. So
Yeah.
a smaller set of group
Oh,
of
yeah.
kids that you're participating in. Did they have state championships and things like that as well, similar to public high schools?
Yes, we did. We had like a regional kind of thing. And then I think if you were good enough, then you could go to state. I did not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no pressure there. I mean, competition is hard, and and things change as you grow up too. Because I know you're a really good athlete now. So, yeah. So did you go back to Florida for the summertime?
Yes and no. Again, summer camp was really big for me. So, and they were always sports focused. My mom was an incredible tennis player, like D1, just unbelievable. Still plays competitively. She's phenomenal.
Wow.
And so she always wanted me to be a tennis player. So I think I broke her heart a little bit when she realized I wasn't going to be. So I did like a tennis summer camp, a few summers, and then like another sports, like general sports camp for a while. Ran track there as well and played tennis just to appease her. So yeah, always kind of sports focused, but I truthfully did not spend a ton of time in Florida if at least I could help it. So
yeah. Okay.
It's hot. It's so hot. So humid.
Well, especially if it was the summertime that you were going to be down there, it would,
it's tough.
Feels like the worst to me.
Totally.
But I'm from Colorado. It's dry and it gets hot, but it's totally different when you're down there and you have that humidity.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. This is more my environment. So
yeah. What was it about tennis that didn't really appeal to you? Was there something in particular or?
It's a great sport. My mom always said, it's a really good sport you could do forever. You're not going to be hurdling when you're 30. I don't do that. Sometimes for fun, I'll throw it on the track, but she's like, it's a good sport to know. And I really am happy that I know how to play and can keep up. But I think I just love the challenge of like doing something that's pretty much just your body. It's just you. I think I would get in my head in like a very negative way in tennis that I don't have with running or even cycling or swimming now. It's like I'm so positive in those three disciplines, but something like a tennis or a golf, I whiff one thing and I'm like, oh, geez, I blew it. Like, no recovering now. But you don't really have that in swimming, running, or cycling. So I think it's more of like a positive atmosphere for me outside of like those other types of sports. Even like a pickleball, same thing. I get in my head and I get like the yips and then it's over. Yeah.
Makes sense. Sounds like running and cycling and swimming is the right path for you then. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
At least you, like you said, you have the ability to play those going forward. You've learned them. And when you're 70 or 80, maybe those are the best ones. Certainly
I'll be
hurdles.
on the court. Yeah.
Hurdles are a little different when you're that old.
Yeah. No. Definitely not. No.
So obviously you were very active as a kid. You did a lot of running. You've already talked about that. What sort of do you remember what that initial spark was? Like what triggered in your brain where you went, I want to run? Was it family, coach? What was it?
Honestly, crazy enough, I swear I just remember running around our front yard with neighbors and everyone was always like, oh my gosh, you're so fast. And they're like, oh, Leah's so quick. And I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. And every time I'd run, you just, it's so silly, but like the wind on your face and it's such a good feeling to just like go fast and run and give it your all like that. And I think that was literally the spark. And then I don't know when or where, but one day I saw someone hurdling. Like I think it was on TV maybe. And I totally have this toxic trait where I'm like, I could probably do that. That's fine. So freshman year of high school, I was like, I'm going to walk on and figure out how to hurdle. And then that was it. Started hurdling. So, and then it just kept growing. I just kind of loved being like, I could probably try that. Like triathlon. I could do that. Which is not always good, but I'm like, what's the worst that could happen? So
probably nothing. Nothing bad ever happens.
No.
I like that because it's kind of neat that you just kind of came to it organically just by, playing around in the front yard and playing with your friends and things like that. And it really wasn't, hey, go try track or go do this. It just sort of arose from what you were doing, and then the spark, a little bit of competitive nature in there probably when people said, hey, you are really fast, and then it just exploded from there. That's really
It was fun to beat the boys. I was like, oh, I'm faster than the boys. This is so cool.
That is always cool. Yeah. Well, if you would have known me in high school, you wouldn't have had to try very hard to beat me. So it would have been super easy. So you get out of high school and then you head off to college. And where was college again?
D3 small school called Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut. Yeah, little liberal arts school.
Okay, so still in Connecticut. And you said you ran track. You ran track there?
Yeah. Yep. I actually, for a split second, I wasn't going to. And I don't know. I just was like, why would you stop if you can do this? It's what a cool experience. And I just was like, you know what, I'll try it and see what happens. And then, made the team and was on it for all 4 years. And it was absolutely fantastic. And I'm so happy I followed through on that one. So
what do you think it was that sort of that initial hesitation to jump into it? Was it like fear of workload with your courses and that kind of thing? Or was it something else?
That's such a good question. I don't know. I think part of it was my friends weren't doing it. I didn't know anyone else going to college, like at least like girls that I was close to doing that. And I was like, why? Yeah, I'm like, am I going to miss out on like, a quintessential college experience if I run track? And, track meets are long and they're on Saturdays. And am I going to miss out on things? Or, would I want to do like Greek life? And I quickly realized I'm not the girliest girl. And so the sorority thing didn't ever totally appeal to me. I think it was a nice idea. But then I kind of felt like the track team that's, girls and guys. And I'm like, oh, it's kind of our own little thing. And it's, it's great. It's like co-ed. You're meeting everyone. And it was a very split moment of, okay, no, that's crazy. I should definitely try to participate in sports in college. So.
Yeah. It sounds like you had a great experience. What were some of the highlights, if you had to, pinpoint a couple of things that really stood out as not necessarily individual events, but what was it about participating in track in college that was so exciting and made it so much fun and such a wonderful experience for you?
Yeah. First of all, in high school, I did 100-meter hurdles, the 400-meter hurdles, long jump, triple jump, 4x1, and 4x4. So I was all over the place. And I was like, well, this is great, but I love hurdling. So I'd love to focus on that. So when I got to college, I was like, great, I will do those two events, and that's it. And it was just nice to have a coach, like, just solely focused on that. And me saying, hey, I'd love to get, like, sub 16, sub 15 in my 100 meters. And we got there. And it was great. So I loved like really being able to focus on hurdles. And again, like what can this body do? Let's see what can happen. I did get a stress fracture senior year, so I had to drop out halfway through the season, which was a big bummer. And it's still haunting me a little bit today with just like the pain and the shin splints and all that stuff. But just being able to really focus on hurdles was probably the big highlight of all the years. So yeah.
Did you find it hard to manage your time in college with your coursework and track? And I assume there was travel to different schools and things like that for competition. Did you struggle with that at all, or did they work with you and have tutors and those kinds of things, or how did you navigate that side of it?
Honestly, no. I had really no issues. I think I just, it didn't ever seem that crazy to me. Like our schedules just kind of always made sense. And Saturdays were obviously, I think, the big track meet days, but, I never really had an issue with time management. I don't really think a lot of the people on the team did. We did have a lot of like group study sessions. So I think maybe that helped. We kind of kept each other accountable. So, I'm sure if that didn't exist, I would have been saying, nope, I needed some tutors and I needed some extra work there. But yeah, everyone was kind of pretty disciplined on the academic side as well. So I think it was very motivational. It wasn't like everyone was slacking off and nobody cared. So it was pretty easy to kind of stay on top of everything. So
yeah. Did you the team travel quite a bit too?
Yeah, a decent bit, just in and around Connecticut mostly. Our division was called NESCAT, which is like Northeastern School, something. But yeah, we didn't go too far. You know, D3 wasn't anything crazy, no planes or anything, just bus rides. So yeah, pretty local.
Probably helps if you're not traveling across the country all the time, and because then the
time
just really gets hard to manage when you're hours on a bus or an airplane. And
I'm sure if it were D1, I would be saying it was a lot. Yeah. Not too bad.
Good. And did you do any other sports outside of that in college? Not necessarily, you know, as a college sport, but, you know, club sports, or do anything on your free time?
No, track kind of became a full season, or sorry, full year, just indoor, outdoor, and then training. So it was like year round. Didn't really have time for anything else in that sense of like a club sport. Would have been fun. I played a little volleyball in high school, so that would have been fun to kind of do that. They tried to recruit me to row crew just because I'm tall. That would have been fun to dabble with, but my track coach was very against that. So I stuck to year-round track.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably common these days anyway, but there's still opportunities, I'm sure, to do some of those things if you want to, which maybe we'll dive into and talk about a little bit later. So let's sort of jump past college. You got out of college. You were still in Connecticut. Where did you go from there, and how did sports continue to be a part of your life, if they did?
Yeah. Well, senior year, I had a pretty gnarly stress fracture. I was on crutches. I took a lot of time off, especially the 2 years I was in Manhattan. I think almost the full 2 years. I almost full stop, like no running. It hurt. It just was really tough with my shins and the stress fracture kind of coming back. And then I started to run a little bit more as I knew I wanted to leave and I wanted to come to Denver. And when I finally came to Denver, I signed up for a half marathon. I was like, we'll figure it out. It's going to be fine. I could do this. It's great. Didn't go well. I didn't make it to competing. I had some more issues with another stress fracture. I also was definitely not training properly. So I took a decent break and then started to come back once I moved here and tried to figure out the best way to approach not being able to run as much as I would like to. And I think maybe PTSD from cross country kind of snuck in there a little bit. So, but yeah.
Wow. So when did you get to cycling? Because I know you're a cyclist and you're also, you do triathlon, so obviously you swim too. Were you doing some of that in this off time from running, or did that sort of spawn out of just growing your running and starting to experience different sports and activities as well?
Yeah, I started to swim a lot more just because I figured it's such a good workout. There's no impact. This will be good no matter what. So I started swimming a ton, and I actually did my first triathlon in middle school, and I've been meaning to ask my parents whose idea that was. Was that me? It feels like me, but it could have been them. I think I did 2 in middle school or something. So I always kind of had triathlons on the mind of like, okay, you've run before, you can do that. You grew up loving biking, like, you know, beach cruiser type biking, and swimming was something I also really enjoyed doing. And so again, I was like, you know what, we could do this. I could do a triathlon. And then that's kind of where I started to do more with that. So.
Okay. So that was once you were in Denver is when you started to sort of re-engage with triathlon? Yeah.
Started with the swimming just because I couldn't run. So it was a slow burn, but I kind of had an idea that I'd want to get back into triathlons. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So was that around the same time too, you started running into the half marathon, and then you sort of had to reset maybe a little bit? So was all this sort of happening congruently at the same time in parallel?
Yep, it sure was. I was like, well, running would have to wait, so we'll swim. We're gonna swim for a while. So that's kind of what happened.
How did cycling fit in? I mean, obviously it's part of the triathlons, but when did you start jumping into cycling? Did you have a bike? Like, did you have to start from scratch again, or how did that kind of get into the mix?
Yeah, totally started from scratch. I was used to growing up in Florida and like riding around barefoot to the beach, and so just a very different experience. And I didn't grow up with anyone that like cycled. Like I didn't even. It just wasn't a thing. I think I learned a few years ago that my grandfather was actually a pretty big cyclist. He would do it every morning. I think technically he's like biked around the world, like mile wise, a few times or something crazy like that. The man, and I was like, I had no idea. But for a while I had a gravel bike and I barely knew how to use it. And I had no friends at the time that were super into cycling. So it was just me doing it. I didn't have anyone to ask questions or really like lean on to show me the ropes. And then it honestly wasn't until probably a year and a half ago when I really started to take the triathlon thing like more seriously of like, okay, let's actually train. Let's like really get into this and see what I can do. That I then made friends who were cyclists and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, great. And then they taught me everything. Even Lydia like was a big part of it. And, I would like look at them and be like, how do you guys unclip? Like, I just didn't know what to do. And then, then it was like this insane spark that I didn't know was missing of this like crazy passion for cycling. Just, it feels like came out of nowhere. It could have been building differently in different ways, but now it's like the greatest thing I've ever done. And it's incredible. And I feel so good on the bike. And I just finally feels like I found this thing that I honestly couldn't love more. And I thought I loved running. I loved hurdling. I loved doing all these things, but there's something about cycling that is just, it feels so magical. And, super happy I finally figured out how to, gears and clipping in. So, yeah.
So I have to ask, I feel like the answer's nearly 100%. Did you fall down at least once, not being able to clip out soon enough at a stoplight or a stop sign?
Somehow, no.
Really?
I didn't.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I have no idea. I know. And me, of all people, very clumsy. I should have fallen all the time, every day. And I didn't. Instead, I had bigger, more dramatic crashes. But
yeah, I want to dig into that one here in a second. But I am so shocked because I don't know if I've talked to anybody that has not had that one embarrassing accident at a stop sign or a stoplight. And either you start leaning the wrong way and you're trying to clip out your other foot and you can't get the other one out, or you just can't get your foot clipped out altogether. And I know it happened to me on my first ride, probably when I had clipless pedals, and I was in Boulder, big cycling community, and I was just so embarrassed. I was like, well, I think we all go through this. And so I figured everybody did, but you're unique, I think, and maybe one of the few that never had that problem.
I know. Awesome. Who knew? I have no idea how I avoided that one, but maybe it's still going to happen. Maybe in like 2 months, I'll have that really embarrassing. I can't.
Oh,
and then I fall.
Gosh, Leah, I hope I didn't just jinx you with that.
You might have jinxed me. I'm going to talk on wood.
Now I'm going to feel terrible. You're definitely going to have to give me a hard time.
I'll tell you when it happens.
If this ends up that way, I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
So I think I've sort of gathered from what you said, cycling is probably your favorite sport right now that you participate in?
Yes. I'd say that. And second has actually been uphill skiing. But yeah, first is for sure cycling. So
okay. And I was going to ask about the skiing too, because I do follow you on Strava, so I can cheat. And you do a lot of uphill skiing in the wintertime too.
It's such a good workout. And I think when you downhill ski enough, I mean, in Colorado, it's busy and the traffic and the this and the that. And it's just like this magical moment where you're going uphill a mountain, which already sounds crazy. And you get to see the sun come up and there aren't really people around. And and usually you have friends around. And it's magical. There's no other way to describe it. So Yeah. Another thing I've recently really fallen in love with to also help stay in shape too in the winter. So.
And early mornings. I mean, that has to be said too, right? Because you got to get up there pretty early and get it done before the hill opens, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's quite an early morning, but man, it is so worth it. It's so great.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to see that.
At least for those local to Colorado or that have been here, I assume the I-70 traffic is much better because you're going up so early, and by the time you're coming back down, that's not the direction where the traffic is.
You're
down,
like,
so.
Totally. You're like, I'm cheating. This is crazy. There's no traffic. This is great. I'm like, I want everyone else to do it, but also don't because then there's traffic.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good.
How did you first get into that side of skiing, the uphill skiing?
Funny, again, for so long, I didn't have friends that did it. And all my other friends, we only downhill skied and that was kind of all I knew. And I always had this like curiosity about the uphill skiing and the backcountry. But again, friends at the time did not do it. And then started getting into the triathlon thing a little bit more and found a great group of like triathlon running crew. And then this was something that they did in the winter. And I was like, oh my gosh, finally, now I get to do this. And I have, again, like people that I can lean on and they can show me the ropes and like tell me what skis to get because I don't know what I'm doing. And similar to cycling, like I just had someone show me and I knew, I was just like, the minute I do this, I have a feeling I'm going to be hooked. And I was. So again, we have like such a good group that gets to do it all together, which just makes it so much more fun to kind of do this fitness with friends. And it's a really cool thing. So, and Lydia, again, she's one of them and we get to do it with. So
yeah. Lydia, the last episode of this podcast. She's incredible as well. One thing you keep hitting on, and you haven't necessarily said this word, but it's sort of what I'm picking up on and how I feel about the endurance community, especially, is the community. And everybody, almost everybody, I shouldn't say everybody because I don't want to be 100% inclusive because I'm sure there are exceptions out there. But by far, it just seems like everybody's willing, exactly what you're explaining, right? People are willing to jump in and help and become friends and chat and then end up having coffee afterwards or whatever it happens to be. But there's something about this community that I feel is unique, and maybe people in other, arenas of their lives feel the same thing. I'm not necessarily sure, an expert in that, but I just feel like it's such a unique experience. Maybe it's the shared suffering piece of it, or I don't know, everybody sort of after a common goal or finding interest in the same, really hard things that we choose to do. And I think it means a lot to you, but do you want to speak a little bit about, aside from just helping and, people sort of guiding you along on what equipment to buy and things, what does this endurance community, skiing, running, cycling, swimming, what does that mean to you?
Oh man, that's such a good question. Honestly, not to just totally sound like a little cheese ball, but it's like ignited this like thing inside of me that I think I've always had with like being competitive, but I'm not like the type of competitive that, like I want to pump other people up and like I want them to do the same for me, like that kind of like a healthy competition and really just like seeing what it's like to push yourself. And I think it's such a cool experience that I think even like Lydia and a bunch of other friends like that are in this community, we've kind of talked about of not a lot of people do that. And it's such a cool experience to then do it with a group of people and they understand it. Like you're on this really long bike ride and you're with your friends and you're in the pain cave and you've fully taken up residence there. And then you look over and so is your other friend and you're both just grinding and maybe you're not talking because you literally can't talk.
Yeah, right.
And then you get to the end and you're just like, oh my gosh, we just did that. Like that was so cool. And what a fun bonding experience. And yeah, it's just been this like unbelievable community that's everyone's willing to help everyone. Everyone's willing to kind of try these new things and like push their limits and lift each other up at the same time. I mean, at least in my experience, maybe I'm lucky with our group, but everyone is so encouraging. And, someone passes you and you're like, you go, you're crushing it. Like, it's so positive and it's just, I feel so lucky to have found such a great group of people. And we all kind of get all corny and say that to each other all the time. We're like, we loved our lives before, but this has just been such a great experience. So yeah, I feel super lucky that, and from what I've seen from other like little groups, they have a similar kind of thing, and everyone just feels really grateful to kind of be there and be going through all that stuff together. So it's been great. I could talk about it forever. It's been so good.
Well, right. I mean, I feel like these are connections that, I think when you and I first started talking, it was all around sport, and with so many other people, I've just found that you have a commonality to be able to discuss it. And, sometimes it's the butt of a joke.
Yes.
How do you know if somebody's an Ironman triathlete? It's like, because they're going to tell you within the first 15 seconds you meet them. But I think some of it is just trying to gain that commonality. And I really resonate with what you talk about with lifting people up. And one of this will go to the elite side of trail running, but I think it's so symbolic of what we see at all levels. But I believe it was at last year's UTMB, and Katie Scheid was pounding up this hill, just hammering. And there's Courtney DeWalter, the GOAT, cheering on what I think is also another GOAT. And just like 100% genuine, go after it. And, she was after her course record. And there's not that competition like, geez, I don't want Katie to get my course record because I want to hold it. Courtney seemed to be 100% like, go get it, girl. And it just, I just saw it on Instagram, right? But it almost got me emotional just to see that side of it, people cheering each other on to beat them. And it's completely fine. And you see Courtney doing that when people pass her in races too. And she's just like, go get it. You're awesome. And I see it all the time, and it's just amazing. It's just amazing.
It's such a cool experience. And it's funny you brought up trail racing. I did my first one. And it was actually my first half marathon too, but it was so fun. And everyone always said, you're going to love the trail running community. They are so fun. It's so positive. And it was true. Everything that they said, it was a really cool environment to kind of just like sit in and observe and be a part of for, the 13 miles that I was, but I could tell why people really liked it. Which honestly got me hooked. I'm like, I would do another trail race in a heartbeat because it was just such a blast. And the people were so cool. Again, like you pass someone and they're like, you're amazing. And then I would, someone pass me, I'm like, you're also amazing. And it's such a cool experience. But all this endurance stuff, I think people are really happy to be there. And I think just want other people to be there too. So it's a really cool thing. Yeah. Yeah.
It's so nice to be able to find joy in other people's success and however they define success, because everybody's going to define it differently. But to see them finding joy in it, and then them finding joy in you doing the same, whether it's, I just need to cross this finish line, or I have some time goal and I'm after it, or, whatever the goal happens to be. And I just feel like it's this common shared enjoyment of other people lifting other people up. And I don't think I've seen it anywhere else. So anyway, that's something I could also talk about for hours on end.
Yeah, forever. And it's funny, you bring up one of these like disciplines or whatever it is, and immediately if someone else does it, they just light up and they're like, okay, let's talk about it.
I know.
It's so cool.
I get stuck I'm on the trail running kick right now, Leah, as you probably know, and I get stuck on that. And I think you're talking about desert rats earlier in April that you did. Yeah. And I could get on these forever. I was just talking to our mutual friends, Maggie and Lydia, about my experience volunteering. I volunteered last weekend at High Lonesome, which is a 100-mile race.
Oh, yes.
Starts and ends just west of Crested Butte. I haven't done the race, but it's brutal. It is so hard.
Yeah, it looked insane. It looked so cool.
Yeah, but it's so beautiful. But my buddy Wade has been the aid station captain at the last aid station for most of the years that the race is run. He's also run it 2 times. And I wrote this in a Substack, but it was so amazing to see the determination. That was the commonality between all the runners that came in, and some came in and were confused and didn't really know what was going on, which is understandable after 93 miles and more than 24 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And some came in happy, and some came in tears, and just the array of emotions. But the one thing that everybody had was, I have 7.3 miles left, and I'm gonna get across this finish line before the time cut off. And I don't know, I left that 12 hours, which is a long volunteering schedule. But it was awesome. I wouldn't have traded it for anything in the world. But just so inspired by what everybody did out there. It was just incredible. And knowing how hard it is and how hot it was during the day, but the night before they were in rain and it's cold, and just everything that's stacked up against you, and yet somehow people still persevere and push through something which sounds insane. 100 miles. It's just crazy. Yeah.
And it's so cool too, whether you're doing it, like you were saying, or someone doing it. And it's always like, wow, I'm so proud and so impressed. And like, even like some of my friends are doing these things, like really intense races. And I'm like, they're so cool. And I'm so proud of them. And it's such a cool, experience, whether you're in it or even just watching, honestly.
Yeah.
So cool.
And I guarantee people feel the same thing about when you accomplish yours, like whether it's Desert Rats or whatever it happens to be, right? People are thinking the same thing back. It's a reciprocal feeling, and that's what makes it so fun. Real quick on the triathlon, I just wanted to go back for a second. Yeah. So what triathlons have you done? I think you were signed up for Boulder 70.3 this year, and that didn't work out for various reasons, some of which I think we'll get into. But have you competed in a 70.3 or other sprint or Olympic distance before?
That was going to be my first 70.3. I signed up the day it opened a year prior, and I've never been more excited about anything in my life. That's okay. We'll get to it next year. Other than that, I've probably done 6 smaller triathlons. So just a combination of Olympics and sprints. I signed up for a sprint later this year, which I feel like the sprint triathlons are actually kind of controversial. Some people are like, oh, they're so short, I hate them. But for me, I'm like, I get to sprint like the whole, it's truly a sprint. You're supposed to be going all out, which is, tough, or can be tough. So I love them. I think they're it feels like a fun little, really intense workout for, like an hour or so. But I've done just a handful of smaller ones. So I was really gearing up for that first 70.3. Still am, I guess.
Well, I hope the next time is your time to shine in one of those. It's definitely a different experience than the Olympic or sprint distances. But I'm sort of in line with you. I mean, I think I did a lot of longer distance triathlons, but I always liked the sprint distance better, I think.
They're fun.
I mean, I'm not good at any of them, but I was better at sprint than I was at long ones. And you're done in like an hour and 15 minutes, depending on the race.
Yeah, you're like, we go have breakfast. Like, we're good. This is great.
Yeah, I think they're awesome. But I do get people's point. Like, for that hour, you're in pain because you're redlining the entire time. If you're trying to compete, you are maxed out at every single sport. The transitions become so important because, if you're trying to compete, seconds, fractions of seconds are important. And so it becomes a fun game as well, just to how can I gain an extra 2 seconds on this to, because maybe I'm slower in the run. And so I got to get ahead in the bike. It's just it's a fun strategy, and you just don't have time to play with it.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I know. I think it's great. And sometimes people are like, oh, they're not very hard. I'm like, well, are you all out sprinting the whole time? If you are, it is tough. It's pretty tough. But I get that, like, the 70.3, like, that is such, like, it's a thing. It's an achievement. People know it's just, and it is in itself, like, such a cool thing to say you're, like, a true Ironman or I guess half Ironman. But, I do. I totally get it.
Yeah, it's fun. I always was told by my coach back in the day on the sprints is you better collapse when you cross the finish line. That's how much you should have left, is you should just fall down and collapse. So
that last like 400 meters should be an all-out sprint. Like wheels coming off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything.
Which for you means something probably. For me, it's like no increase in speed
I'm like,
whatsoever. It's like there's nothing left. I'm not fast to begin with.
and I think it just brings me back to my track days. So I'm like all out sprinting, and I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah,
But,
that's fun.
yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch gears. I've sort of alluded to it a little bit, but this summer you were scheduled and started what I thought I had never heard of this. I think I had heard of the event before, but I didn't really understand what it was. This bike ride in Durango, and it didn't go quite as you had hoped. But I would just love to hear that story, and I think the audience would like to hear it because one, I think the ride is really cool. And then, but also hear, what happened to you and how you've come back out of that.
Yeah. I kind of went a little crazy, signed up for tons of races this year. I tried to focus more on like the cycling side of things. I had the 70.3 coming up. So I was just, doing my training and, but really, really excited about this Iron Horse race in Durango and the whole idea of it. Two brothers, one was a cyclist, one was the train conductor. And the idea was that they raced to Silverton. So the cyclist is trying to beat the train. And that has been going on for decades now. And it's a full-blown race. And yeah, I started. And about 5 miles in, I caught up to this girl's pace line. And we were moving pretty quickly. It was my first official bike race also as well. So I was kind of still figuring out how things work and I'd never been in like a true pace line. And there was a gentleman ahead that the whole pace line was kind of moving around. And I think one of the girls maybe ahead of me didn't see and kind of panicked a little bit and hit the brakes. Everyone else kind of started to hit the brakes and then I hit the brakes and ended up clipping her wheel, the girl in front of me, and I went down pretty hard. Thankfully, I was the only one that went down. I would have felt really bad if I caused a pileup. But yeah, I went down pretty hard, fractured my shoulder, was taken to the ER. And so it's funny, the first question, the EMTs, I was like, hey, could I do a half Ironman in 2 weeks? And they're like, absolutely not. Glad I asked, but I get it. It's fine. So yeah, I was in a sling for a little bit and sadly had to pull out of the race. But got to go and still cheer everybody on. And it was still a fantastic day just to see. We had like 10 people, I think, racing that we were all following. And it was such a fun day and it was very hot. So maybe good that I didn't have to race that day, but, so yeah, next year.
Yeah. I mean, I was you had told me about the event ahead of time, so I knew what you were going to. And I think maybe I was out of town for a while or something, but at one point I saw you again and you were in an arm sling and I was like, what in the world happened? I had no idea.
I was like,
yeah, I was so bummed. But for those that don't know, the train is the old steam train, still coal fired as far as I know, even though it started some forest fires in recent years.
I was going to say, it's pretty controversial.
Yeah, that goes from Durango to Silverton, and it runs several. I think they have several trains that run throughout the summer. But I've done it a number of times. I think it's like a 3 or 4 hour trip from Durango to Silverton. Does that sound about right from a time perspective?
Yes. Yep. I think that's right. It's because the race is 47 miles and it's about 6,000 feet of vert. So it's the whole thing's basically climbing, which there's like a little bit at the beginning that's flat that you can really get some speed on the train. But then once the climbing starts, like the train, you're like, oh my gosh, it's actually moving pretty quickly. But yeah, I think to beat the train, it's around like I want to say around 3 hours or 3 hours and 30 minutes to beat the train. Maybe 3 hours and 30 minutes to beat the train.
Okay.
But yeah, I will also be doing that next year to redeem myself. Just because I only made it 5 miles. I got to do the whole thing next year.
Yeah, you probably barely got out of town, right? Were you still pretty much in Durango?
Oh, barely.
At that point.
Which ended up being great because I had these lovely ladies come pick me up. And they actually, their father and the uncle were the two that started the race. like
What?
way back when. So I got
Are you serious?
Yeah, it ended up being like one of the coolest days, and they took me to the hospital, and they knew the doctor on call. It ended up being like
Oh my
kind of a
gosh.
really cool like silver lining. And my bike was pretty not in good shape, and they're like, well, we own the bike shop in town, and I'm like, of course you do. So it was just like it ended up being a great day, and I still have their numbers. I sent them a letter after just thanking them, and I told them I'd be back next year and we could get a drink or something. And I'm buying because they took such good care of me. So,
Oh, wow.
but yeah, it ended up being, again, the community really stepped up in that situation. I was so grateful, and they were literally just happy to help me, and they didn't even know me.
Yeah.
So it was, again, really cool moment. Even though I was innocent, but it was great. So
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously you didn't want to crash and you didn't want to have your day
certainly
ended
not.
that way, but that's a really kind of a cool way since you had to go through that anyway. That's a really cool way to go through that. I didn't know that. That's really cool. Yeah. And again, like you said, it speaks back to the community. They were more interested in making sure you were taken care of than, hey, sorry, but we have to watch this race, and so we'll let somebody else deal with you. They were more interested in you. That's awesome. Wow. And that has to be hard a little bit too. It has to be, you have to be paying attention to the time on the bike, because the bike cannot follow the train the entire way, because the train is at times it's away from the road and not even visible until you sort of come back into Silverton and it's getting closer.
At that point, I think you're really just looking at your bike computer, like, how much time am I at? Like, let's see if I can make that cutoff to beat the train officially. But yeah, it's a really, really fun race. So I will definitely be back. And yeah, it seems relatively unknown, which is crazy because it's such a cool concept. So hopefully more people will do it.
And that highway up there is absolutely gorgeous that you ride on. I mean, it is hard because Silverton is at least above 10,000 feet. I don't know if it's above 11, but I think it's above 10,000 feet for sure.
Yeah.
It's a
so
high
pretty.
Elevation ride. You're gonna get, like you said,
Yeah,
6,000 feet.
you're up there.
Yeah, it's some work, but it's a cool little mining town, and it's just fun to be up there in the summer.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for telling that story. I know it,
Yeah.
didn't have the happiest ending in the world, but it certainly was happier than I thought it was going to be. But are you feeling okay now? Is your shoulder better? You able to get back out there and do things now?
I am. It's funny that the first thing I could do again was ride. And then running, it took a little bit. Swimming, I still have not been able to do, actually. But I'd say it's about 90% there. This whole experience has also taught me like how important recovery is, just generally, even if you're not injured. Strength training, I'm like really trying to be more diligent about that. It's so important, and I don't think a lot of people realize how important it is. So trying to kind of take that time to come back properly. Thankfully, being on the bike, there's not a ton of weight on it, or at least I don't really feel it as much. So, almost all the way back, but trying to do it in a good way.
Yeah. I mean, it's better to be smart. In the long run, you will be able to do more running and cycling and swimming if you handle your recovery correctly, than if you mess it up down the road and then maybe you're a year out or something like that. So yeah, it sounds like you're doing the smart thing. But I do want to ask too, because I know you did this last night. Can you talk real quickly about this hot laps competition that you did?
Yes. So this was actually the third annual Hot Laps. We have a really good friend who works for On Running, the running company. And they do this little sponsored event. So you've got 45 minutes and you have a team of 4 and it's a relay. And so there's a designated track. I think the first year they did it in the streets of Reno, downtown Denver. And then last year they did it actually on top of a hotel in downtown Denver.
Really?
There's a track, which was really cool. And then this year brought it back to the streets of Reno. And so we basically ran around a city block. It's about 500 meters. and you're basically like trying to all out sprint, and then you pass the baton to the next teammate, and see who can do the most laps in 45 minutes. But it's funny. I hadn't done like a true sprint to that extent, like a relay, in some time. And oh boy, it is very humbling. Everyone, like, by the time you've done 3 laps, you're like, I popped along and I don't feel so good. But it was really, really fun. Again, like such great energy. Just like we're surrounded by incredible athletes, and there were some people just absolutely flying, and it was really cool to watch. It was a great little event that they put on.
Did you have to switch the baton at every lap, or was there any strategy? I would imagine that would probably be the best strategy, but was there any other strategy that went into it, or it was simply each runner a lap and you just keep cranking through the team?
Yep. Each runner a lap. Initially I thought, well, if you feel good, you should totally do a second. But then as you're doing it, you're like, there is no way I can do a second right now. Cause you're basically sprinting like more than, a full lap around a track. And so you're pretty gassed at the end of it. So it was kind of nice to pass it off. But yeah, it's funny. You also saw people's baton exchanges getting like that much faster and smoother. And, it was kind of a fun environment to be back in, because I hadn't held a baton since senior year of college. So, it was great to kind of be back in that environment. But yeah, everyone did such a good job. It was a ton of fun. Yeah.
Cool. Well, congratulations. About how many people did it, do you know? Or how many teams?
We had 18 teams of 4. So,
oh, wow.
Kind of a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And then they had a finals of 5 teams, I believe, went to the finals. And then they all just did, everyone got 1 lap on each team.
Okay.
And they just, whoever finished first. But super fun. So they're definitely hosting another one next year, and I will absolutely be there. And I'll probably train a little, I think, for it next time, because it's a little hard to just go right into it. I could have used some training. So,
yeah.
But
are you sore today?
I'm a little sore.
Okay.
We actually did. Yeah, we biked up Lookout this morning. So initially I was like, this is a terrible idea. But then, your legs started to loosen up, and I was like, oh, this might have been good for the legs, get them a little shakeout. But yeah, it was, I hadn't used those like fast twitch muscles in a bit. So yeah, a little jarring,
Leah,
but fun.
You are nonstop. Like, I'll just say, you always have something you're doing. And even if it's not organized, if it's just a ride up, Lookout Mountain, a handful of hours after you did hot laps in Rhino or whatever, it's like you're always on the move. I sort of have a 2-part question, and both of these are about the future. One, are there any sports that you haven't done that are on your list of something to try? And then 2, what do you have on your list to try? I think, so we've already heard you're going to do Iron Horse again. You're going to do hot laps again, maybe Boulder 70.3. What else do you have on your list in the future?
I'll start with that one because that was probably easier.
Okay.
Yes, everything you mentioned. There is a race I found out about last week and then signed up the next day for. That's in early August. It is biking up Pikes Peak. So I'll be doing that. And I think it's one of the few races in Colorado that you can get points for UCI to work on like your cycling status. So that's all still very new to me. So I'm kind of, and Iron Horse is actually the second one in Colorado, which unfortunately DNF does not help. So I'm kind of trying to get a little bit more into that side of cycling. So I have that coming up. I have a sprint triathlon in the fall, and I think that's it so far for this year. But next year, I think, honestly, as many bike races as I can. I was supposed to also do Steamboat Gravel this year, which I had to defer because of my shoulder. So I deferred that also to next year. So that's on the list as well. I've never done a gravel race, so that would be my first. And then in terms of things I want to try, I've only ever mountain biked once, And it was actually last year in Moab. We did this like 100-mile ride. So fun. I also crashed, but we kept going. And I'd love to do like more of that. And also bike packing is another thing I've never done.
Yes.
That a few of us are kind of talking about maybe doing like the Pacific Coast Highway or something like that. Yeah. And cross country skiing is another one. We did a cross country ski race out in Crested Butte called Alley Loop last year. Extremely hard if you don't know how to. I did the skate ski version, which is a little technical, and I'd only done it once before, so I'd love to kind of go back to that and kind of work on that, because man, those Nordic skiers, it's a hard sport, and I think they're one of like, it's like the best VO2 max kind of sport. Like, it's just such a good workout. So that's another one I'd like to get more involved in, as well as like backcountry skiing. And then, I used to fly fish a decent amount. And so I'd also like to kind of bring that back as well. But I think those are like the big races that I'm excited about, and some other sports I'd like to spend some time and money on. So yeah.
Just a handful of things. Just a
few things. Yeah. Stay busy.
Yeah. I thought about not asking this question, but I want to ask it now because you talked about how much, all these different things that you want to do, which all sound fun, by the way. How do you find the time?
Yeah.
Like, you work full time. I know that, but how do you find the time to fit all these things in?
It's really hard. I don't sleep, I think, nearly as much as I should. I think I'm married to my calendar. That is like my lifeline. Everything. It feels like every minute of my day is planned out. And I think the best thing is mornings. You can fit a lot into the morning, which of course then means you have to go to bed decently early the night before, which is not the worst thing. But honestly, morning is like my good training block time. Obviously then work during the day. And then if I can sneak in something before some sort of a social activity in the evening, I'll do that, or just merge the two. So that's kind of been my cadence, but I would say sleeping's taken a hit. So we're working on it.
Well, I'm impressed, and you're doing a great job of it. It sure seems like you're smiling all the time, and it just, for somebody at my age, it just sounds horribly exhausting. I mean, I would love to be able to do that, but I just know that would kill me. So,
I also figured that I can't do this forever. Might as well do it now,
Good point. I mean, maybe you train yourself to where you can do it forever. I don't know. That would be awesome.
That's true. Maybe that's true too. Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to, this is not a plug, but you talked about bike packing and mountain biking, and I'm combining those in my head. And the reason is because I was dealing with my mountain bike today. One of the best mountain biking trips I ever did was the San Juan Huts, I think is what the company is called. And we went from Molas Pass, so right near Silverton. We stopped, we didn't go quite to Moab. You can do a 7-day and go to Moab, but we stopped at 5 days. I think the town was called Paradox, if I remember correctly. I'll probably remember something differently after we end the podcast, but it was one of the coolest experiences, just going hut to hut. And we saw, I don't even know anymore, like extremely few people in 5 days. Maybe half a dozen, it seems like. I mean, it was just insane. And to the point where outside of a map, I had no idea where we actually were. Like if somebody said, what part of the state of Colorado are you in? I would have said, I don't know. We left Silverton.
I don't know. Am I in Colorado?
West. And that's all I know. That's all I could tell you. But anyway, it's super fun. So when you get a chance to do that, whether it's mountain biking or something like the Pacific Highway or something, I'll be anxious to follow and hear about that because it was really a cool experience. So I'm sure you'll enjoy that as well. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep you in the loop because that sounds like an experience.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I mean, I can imagine like the Pacific Coast Highway and just the pictures and just the opportunities of what you would see along that have to be just unbelievable. So there's so many options. It's just endless.
Oh,
Endless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I have one more question that I want to ask that I've been asking everybody.
Yeah.
I gave you a little bit of a heads up, but if you had the opportunity to share some miles with one person, and for you, maybe it's cycling, maybe it's not running, but for whatever sport you wanted to, but to share some miles with one person, they don't have to be a runner or cyclist or anything else. They don't even have to be currently alive. Who would that person be, and why would you want to share that time with them?
Yeah, I actually think it would be my grandpa, the one I was telling you about, that turns out was a pretty big cyclist, and I had no idea. So I would, I've never seen him in that capacity on a bike. Unfortunately, he can't bike anymore. But yeah, I think I would love to share some miles with him and just kind of, I think you have different conversations and different emotions come out on the bike. And so I think it'd be a really, really cool experience to share some miles with him.
I love it. Leah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Would you like people if people wanted to follow you and connect with you, would you like them to follow you on Instagram or Strava or, okay. Do you have those handles?
Yeah. I do. I believe my Strava is just at Leah McIntosh. So yeah, you can find me on Strava. Yeah.
Okay. I can put those in the show links too, so that people can follow you. Leah, thank you so much. This was so much fun, and I'm so glad we got to have this conversation, and I got to know you better and hear more about stories that I thought I already knew about and more interesting aspects. This has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And take care of yourself. We'll talk to you real soon.
Yeah. Thanks, Brian. See ya.
All right. What did y'all think about that podcast with Leah? I hope you enjoyed it. I really had a great time just getting to know her a little bit better, understand more about her endurance journey. And I'll tell you, I'm really looking forward to seeing where she goes in the future. Leah's awesome. Give her a follow. All her connections on social media will be in the show notes below. So please check those out. Also, if you like the episode, give it a share, give it a like. Subscribe, help me get noticed and help the podcast get noticed so that we can share Leah's story and everybody else's as well. And if you haven't seen the first 2 episodes of Running on Thin Air, go check those out as well. They were really good with Maggie Breitenstein, the first one, and then Lydia Breitenstein on episode number 2. Check those out. They're also 2 amazing young women and athletes. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching, please reach out to me. Send me an email. It's brian@twofeetcubed.com. That's BRIAN at TWOFEETCUBED.com. All one word. We can set up some time to chat, see if we're a good fit, and I'd love to help you on your running journey for a good match. So let me know. Last but not least, my wife and I are in the middle of moving across the country, or across the country for us. We're in Colorado, so we're kind of in the middle, but we're moving to the Pacific Northwest. So everything's a bit up in the air right now. We're delayed on a lot of things. I wanted to get this podcast out a couple of weeks ago, but I'm still hoping to get another one out either in later August or in September. But just understand it might be 1 week or 2, one way or other on that one. So I'm also trying to get another podcast out, but it might be later in August or potentially in September. We're doing the best we can in the middle of this move. Everything's a bit of a mess right now, but we're trying to get it straightened out and keep this on a regular schedule. Once we get settled in the Pacific Northwest, we'd really like to increase the frequency of this podcast to a couple times a month. So be looking forward to that. But again, it won't probably happen till fall or winter at this point. In the meantime, again, please like, subscribe, share this episode with friends. And I look forward to talking to you on episode 4 of the Running on Thin Air podcast in the near future. Thanks.